from 2 to 3, we're going to be talking about 3 things today. One is this idea of the value of Hawaii. And this is a book that just came out a few days ago. We're really excited to share a little bit about that with you, but really it's more than a book. The value of Hawaii is an idea that we value and we love this place. And we turn to our home for the wisdom and the innovation we need for the challenges that we're all facing today. So we're here to talk about the value of Hawaii. That's one thing. The second thing we're here to talk about today is Hulihia, the turning, the overturning. This is a concept that I think a lot of the contributors in this book really believe in. This is a time of Hulihia. This is not a time of new normal or old normal. And we're not really interested in that kind of normal. I think now it feels like a time of huge overturning, of disruption, of new growth. And so how can we embrace that together, that energy? There's a lot of difficulties there. There's a lot of possibility there. And what are we going to bring to that? And how are we going to fully step into that? That's the second thing we're here to talk about. And the third thing that makes this panel really special to me. So we're here to talk about how music, how art, how poetry, how these kind of cultural and creative productions can guide us into the post-pandemic future that we want, that we're longing for, that we envision. And now it is my great pleasure to introduce our first speaker, Kapili'ula Naehu-Ramos, Maui-born, Moloka'i raised artist of Filipina, Boricua, Portuguese, Chinese, Hawaiian descent. Congratulations, she's a Moloka'i High School graduate of 2020 and currently virtually attending Princeton University, majoring in visual arts with certificate in creative writing. Kapili aspires to continue to empower people and raise consciousness through her art, servicing all cultures and backgrounds. And her creative work, I find, is so clear-eyed and so grounded. And you saw in the beginning her visual art featured on the cover of Value of Hawaii 3.
I have a poem to share with you. Elei mai lau kaulai ke kai he o ka malama lama o ni I hau u amalie papa kainu vaila ke inu nahala o na wei ke kai. Salt, coarse and rough on your fingertips, hugging your body like a glove, a second skin. Salt seeping into every inch of your being, purifying. Salt in your hair, tangled, loose, framing your face, falling past your shoulders, tracing down your back, rustling in the slight breeze, kissing your neck. Salt floats in the air on the ocean mist, jumping up off the rocks below, salt filling your nose. Metallic tang mingles with the scent of limu, thick, sweet, earthy, round, full-bodied and heavy on your tongue. Inhale, ingest, become. Salt water on your lips, salt water drifting past, mist settling on your arms, legs, face, cooling your nose. Salt water settling on your toes, settling on the road. Asphalt darkens, salt water, white and foaming against the shoreline of bubbles stretch outward, reaching for Hina Opu Halako'a. Salt water springing from her womb, birthing the sea, birthing the reef. Salt water over brown, black, royal blue where there is rock, over the pale green, tan, aqua, mint, jade where there is sand. Salt water extending out, turquoise, beach glass blue, past the reef, deepening teal, green, blue, navy, and further yet into Kanaloa, royal blue, indigo, violet, dipping into horizon, meeting the sky, Papa Hanomoku, embracing Wakea. Passion paints lavender clouds, pink cotton candy, golden top, sun-kissed sky, glowing. Sky tints yellow where it meets the sea. Light fades to near white and ascends into the blue. Periwinkle, lavender, reflecting onto the sea, salt water churning, peaking and rising and rolling, tumbling and turning, pulsing, salt water running in my veins, salt water rushing in my ears like whispers or roars or song. Mahalo. So this piece I wrote as I was out around the corner of my house. I went to watch the sunset at Rock Point and ocean, and just really appreciating the roles that salt play in my life. And just this poem is really a reflection of kind of my place here, and it's really grounding for me. Yeah, so for we weren't really able to go outside or go out of our houses. And even now, a lot of us, at least for me personally, I've been and it feels very isolating, attached from not only like the people around me, but the place I'm living in. So it's really, I think, important to find space around you where you can just, you know, sit and look and watch and feel and taste and just be with your surroundings. And I think going outside and writing and watching the water or the sunset has really helped me to come out of this sort of bubble that I've been building around myself during this time. And I think that's really important because we really want to, you know, foster connections with other people and the place that we are living in.
The next one I want to introduce to us is Norman Kaneshiro Sensei, born, raised, living in Honolulu. The grandson of Okinawan immigrants on both sides of his family, he is co-founder and co-director of Ukwanshin Kabudan UQ Performing Arts Troupe. He's also a volunteer Okinawan music instructor and a lecturer at UH Manoa's ethnomusicology program. And Kupuna love when he plays. Young people, if I'm still young, we love when he plays Sanshin and sings because it transports us into our memories and inspires us to learn more about who we are and act now to protect what we love. So I'm really glad you could join us today, Norman, and I'll hand our aloha to you.
Thank you very much. Okay, I'd like to share a song with all of you. 아시바히야 옴미쇼다잖나요. That is a song called Guin Mushi. It's a classical Okinawan song, and it's played on my accompanying instrument called the sanshing, which is basically a snakeskin, I don't know, banjo is this thing that we can compare it to. Yeah, the song is, I like to open up with the song, especially it's very, very, Okinawan poems are very, very short and concise, but they hold a lot of meaning and they can be used in a lot of different contexts. And in this case, guin bushi. Guin is in Okinawa means it means sort of like a circle of fate. And so what the poetry of the song says that fate is what brings us, what's brought us together today in this space. And now that we're here, let's celebrate and let's have fun. So it's kind of a party song in a way. But what's really significant about that is I think two things that are pertinent to what we're talking about today is number one, this idea of even though we're talking about Hulihia and about overturning, I think this is something that island cultures that we share across the board, so Okinawa included, is that there's this very circular idea of time, and that things come in waves and they come, and things come around, and things from the past eventually come back and revisit us, and we do that. And so there's that idea of going about this idea of fate, about the circular relationship in fate, and that, yeah, this idea that one of the things I think that really helped our people to get through tough times throughout history is really this idea that sort of this idea of the seasons, of the passing seasons, that even though it can be the cold, dark season right now, the sunshine will come back again, and things will grow once more. And so this idea that basically you need the resilience to wait it out because things will get better. And in a smaller sense, this idea of fate also, that even though we are destined to meet each other again, see each other again, and to be together at some point, this idea that, yeah, we're always connected in that sense. There's the second part of the song is that says that, yeah, that now that we're here, that we should celebrate, and saying that we shouldn't take this for granted, that even though we know we're going to see each other again, that fate will bring us back together once more. We shouldn't take it for granted, that when we're together, and this, there's a lot of different things that happened that was able to bring us together, and even this space today, and to be with all of you folks today, it's very significant, it's very special, and it's something that doesn't always get to happen. So to enjoy that space, enjoy that time with the people that you're with, and to just enjoy the moment. And so yeah, those are things I think that are, at least those are things that remind me of what's important to kind of get through all of this pandemic craziness.
Our next speaker and artist is Kainani Kahanaile. She is a mele enthusiast, a singer-songwriter, o kumu o lalo Hawai'i at Kahakaula o Ke'eli Kolani, Yue Chilo. I think it's a beautiful connection coming off of what Norman said, because she just does so much, I think, to create that resonance, to connect generations, to tell very, very old stories new again and again and again. And there's so much beauty and life to it. And she's produced 2 award-winning solo albums that are amazing, focusing on hakumele as a practice, as a practice, a beautiful practice. And her 3rd is due for release any day now, I think. Maybe she'll tell us more about that too. Kainani is somebody who inspires people, and I've seen it time and again, to really think of kuleana as something beloved, as this idea of kuleana, something beloved, something intimate, part of our daily lives that is right there for us every moment. So Kainani, I really thank you for being with us today, and I turn our aloha to you.
I'd like to share a mele that I wrote several years ago as a journal entry for a trip to Maui. And I have 3 children, and our thing is mele. We train. Mele is not so much recreation, but it's actually our practice. And so our family went on a week on the spring break. We went to Maui and we brought our Maui songbook of Hawaiian music. And we went to from one end of the island to the other, all the way around. We went to the places in the songs to sing the songs in that area with the intention and with honor. And so one of the ways that I wanted to add to the Maui songbook was to create a mele about places that we visited, and for it to be part of our Ohana musical legacy. And so we sing this song at home, and yeah, it's one of the families. Now it's the family songbook, family song in our own Ohana songbook. But I dedicated it to all the families on Maui that took care of us in our week-long trip. For my kids, it was Guri Guri. That was the biggest highlight of the whole week. And mine too. No, but to be able to have my mom fly in from Kauai to join us on certain legs of the trip, and to stay with our friends, our Maui Ohana that took care of us, and to sing songs that I've written about Maui before, and to add a new one on the way out. It's just part of our soundtrack of life. So this song, Kiuwailu Lehua, is one of the winds up in Iao Valley. And of course, we didn't get to go on the top of the mountains, but from all the different vantage points around Maui, we got to see places that are storied in older mele, in classic Hawaiian mele, in chants. And so the contextual words, the images that still remain, that were very similar, perhaps in older songs. There was a need for it to come into the current event of the song. And so anyway, here's the song. Kiuwailu Lehua. Kiuwailu Lehua, auhea oe, oke anu, wahoi pahai na pali hauliuli o iao. Oli haui na lehua kauke hakea ipu upoli apo ia e kalau makani mena lalani kuahili akaluna pu kukui ohukaua ikaua noe waihala umana mana na hono aopi ilani kukui ke koe wa maele nei aili milika e ke hili I believe that mele is the portal to time and space. And I've been able to go back to Maui as I sung the song right now. And I remember places, moments, and I also think of the faces. And I think about my process of writing mele. You know, sometimes for most artists, you know, it's not just one way. You know, the inspiration comes in all different kinds of forms. And one of the forms that really helps me put out the mele is pressure, time. You know, deadlines, like we're leaving Maui. I have to get a song done before we catch the plane, you know, or at least start it, have it, you know, in a working form. But mele, I try to bring the foundational poetic devices. I try to bring images that will behoove people to engage, to listen a little more, or to see a perspective, a Hawaiian perspective through Hawaiian poetry. And one of the best ways to do so is to engage in lots of Hawaiian music. And so as in my piece in the Hulihia journal, I used the metaphor of being able to travel. You know, and in this pandemic time, we all have to stay home for the most part. And musicians, we were to me, the first profession to go under. However, we were one of the essential workers on social media, providing music, providing concerts, providing performances to bring some joy, to bring some relief. And so that was like, well, we can't stop creating. We need the music to heal ourselves. We need the music to help others to feel good. And with the social media access, so much more music was shared and enjoyed and created. And yeah, so that's the role of mele. It's so important and vital in our life, whether we're musicians or not. So mahalo.
So it is my joy to introduce our next speaker, Akiemi Glenn, who is a Honolulu-based nonprofit leader, a curator, a researcher. I wanted to add onto her bio an artist, a linguist, and I found out a lover of databases. She's the founder and executive director of the Pōpolo Project, which is an organization that engages concepts of culture, race, and belonging, and the convergence of African and Pacific diaspora in Hawaii. And doing such really important work. And so many people from all walks of life have been asking me, oh, have you heard of Pōpolo Project? And I think that just really speaks to how much they've been doing recently to have really hard conversations and necessary conversations and important conversations leading us to justice and to each other. Akiemi is always creating gatherings, and she's always like forming these little hui that I think help us become better humans and help us organize to transform everything around us. And I think I mentioned earlier this value of Hawaii 3 is the book. It's more than a book. And there's so many people who are doing this work who are not in the book, who are doing just this amazing leadership work about the value of Hawaii and about bringing us together. And Akiemi is one of those people. And I'm really glad you could join us today to share your vision and creativity with us today. So aloha, Akiemi, mahalo.
And these two poems that I'm going to share, they're very short. They note the deaths of two young men. In 2014, Eric Garner was killed. His death was a big part of the now resurging Black Lives Matter movement, which in some ways feels far from Hawaii, but in a lot of ways is absolutely in sync with our values here and our vision for a future for justice for all people. The other poem makes reference to Emmett Till, who was a young man, a teenager killed in 1955. And even though that was a long time ago and New York City is far away from Hawaii and Mississippi is far away from Hawaii, we are here and we are there and we're connected through our ancestors and our love for each other. And so even though both of the touch points in these poems are making note of violence that has been visited on Black people and their bodies, I think both of these poems have a kernel of the resurgence of all people and our connections to the land and waters and the plants around us. So the first one is by Ross Gay, and it's called A Small Needful Fact. A small needful fact is that Eric Garner worked for some time for the Parks and Rec Horticultural Department, which means perhaps that with his very large hands, perhaps in all likelihood, he put gently into the earth some plants, which most likely, some of them, in all likelihood, continue to grow, continue to do what such plants do, like house and feed small and necessary creatures, like being pleasant to touch and smell, like converting sunlight into food, like making it easier for us to breathe. The second poem is by a poet named Dennis Smith, and it's called Dream Where Every Black Person is Standing by the Ocean. Dream where every Black person is standing by the ocean, and we say to her, what have you done with our kin you swallowed? And she says, that was ages ago. You've drunk them by now, and we don't understand. And then one woman, skin dark as all of us, walks to the water's lip, shouts, Emmett, spits, and surely a boy begins crawling his way to shore. For me, both of these poems are really important, and they speak to some of what we are sitting with here in Hawaii, especially imagining a world post-pandemic. I think both of these are really telling to me, and that the writers ground their processing of sorrow in the natural world, in plants, in the cycles of what plants give to us, in the cycles of the ocean. And this idea that even though there is death and there's ending, there's always rebirth and life. And like I said, though we're here in Hawaii, we're also there so that we can be in multiple places at once. And as I think about what creative work, art, poetry, music gives us, it gives us a way to contextualize feelings that we can't always express directly. It gives us another way to look at something that might feel like a crushing and devastating blow to our world and imagine it as a new beginning in some other way.
Mahalo, everyone. I savored this time that we shared, and all my gratitude and aloha from me and my ancestors to all of us today.